Hey everyone. So our question for today, very short and simple, is why? Why, why is it that if we are peace, love, bliss, consciousness, aliveness, intelligence, why is it that we suffer? Why is it that our lived experience of being is so different from that? Why is that the design? Why does it seem to be universal, well, human wide, that there is a believed idea that I am separate from you, a believed idea that that there is a doer in here, that there is a chooser. If none of that is true, then why is that what we all think? Well, it's a good question. It's a very good question. Why is there an ego, basically, really, isn't it? That's the question. Why is there an idea of ourselves as separate? Um, hard to obviously give any definitive answer to that, because how would this small intellect ever be able to understand the broadest picture of the design? You know, it's like saying, why are trees like that? Why is there oxygen? Why is there the sun? Why is there the earth? It's you know, really hard ever to fathom, isn't it? But what we can consider are elements that help us, in a sense, get to a logic in all of this. So the first logical point is that there is an evolutionary advantage of having a human mind, isn't there? That capacity um, to categorize, to predict, to remember, to organize, to project into the future, to deal with representations, to work in story, to imagine, to create. Enormous evolutionary advantage to that. So the greater that capacity, the more it will survival will be favored. So that's our first thing. So already we can see that we're not saying that the mind is a problem. No, the mind is a superpower. The human mind is a miraculous gift. And at no stage in this conversation are we attempting to silence that mind or make it less capable, make it less imaginative, make it less creative. Not at all. This is a real respect of that human capacity. So the second thing is that there is that evolutionary advantage is also applied to the the identification of ourselves as being something, isn't it? That localization of aliveness in this form, that meeting of intelligence, or the animation of this sort of inert substances by life to create and animate a human mind body. There's an advantage in that localization being represented as something, because it means that representation or that localization can be put into future scenarios. It can be referred to. It can it can become a factor in thinking and planning, in organizing. And so can all others. They, if I think of my family, say, represented by these conceptual avatars, I can plan our futures together. I can plan what's going to happen. I can organize ourselves, all at a conceptual level. It doesn't have to happen in reality. It's a mental exercise. And so there is an advantage of that representation of me. Okay, so that's point number 2. Then there's an advantage of a body-mind wired to survive within its tribe, within its family, within its community, because the human dependency on others is total, isn't it? In the first years of life, and really beyond, it's absolute. And so a baby body mind wired to with such speed and agility and efficiency learn and absorb and embody all the rules, the expectations, the ways of organizing, to really bring that in, really typified by language, that absorption of language. A baby wired to speak, to understand, to formulate rules of language. It's part of our survival as a member of a group, isn't it? So all of these things are extraordinarily useful. The problem is really lies in that capacity. So in a way, the greater the capacity for acquiring information, the greater the capacity for conceptualizing, the greater the capacity for absorbing rules and beliefs and projecting concepts, the more believable that representation becomes as something that is standalone, that is separate from the whole. So instead of that representation of us being a device, a holding space of information, a frame of data, it becomes us. And that identification can be total. And so now it starts to look like the survival of the body mind is actually the survival of that conceptual idea. And that conceptual idea contains all the conditioning of separation that has been acquired. All the fear, all the shame, all the insecurity, all the need, all the desperation, all the need for control, the sense of ourselves as isolated and to be blamed. All of that is contained in that representation of us. So it's life and death, it's survival, but it's survival of something that is not actually true or has ever been true. And that's the ego. And that becomes the lens through which life is lived. And that's why people say, why is this design like this? Because why do we have such suffering? It's because this superpower of being human and this superpower ability to thrive within a group is so good, is so powerful, that it takes a life of its own. That would be the why. And as I see it, the absolute breathtaking beauty of the design is that the conditioning that has created that ego, those layers of beliefs that form the basis of that fight for survival of us, that conditioning is visible in every way reality appears, because it forms the basis of believed self and believed others. And this is the design, because now we can see that the reality is not reality. Reality is a projection of that inner conditioning. And through this conversation now, it starts to become a new navigation, really, that reality is continually showing the creation of that ego identity. It's continually showing the needs and the insecurities through that sense of believed separation between self and other. That alone is showing a conditioning of separation that just isn't true. And so that's the beauty of the design, that our ongoing lives, our ongoing reality returns the whole system back to truth. So there's truth, there's the baby, just that pure presence, pure unconditional love, pure potential, an ongoing development of an idea of ourselves as separate, fractured, limited, and then through that back to truth, but now as an adult, now with not naivety, but spiritual maturity, an understanding of the superpower of the mind. And now it's a resource. It's not the dictator. Yeah, good. Lots of love. Bye.